Hi, sweeties. How are you doing? Welcome to Sim. Thank you so much for the support. Hope you all are doing great. The truth is that some people were kind of shocked that some kind of people are still sharing this administration up and all that, like being all super excited and happy when things are going wrong. Some people are going to be like, what is going on? Why are they doing that? The reality is that some people actually do not care about you. Some people know how bad this administration is hurting people, but as long as it is theirs, that is actually okay. Because tell me how this man was talking about gas prices, the groceries, and talking nonsense, and some people were sharing him up. Now, this is also an opportunity for us to understand that it was never about the gas prices, it was never about anything, standard of living, and all that. But you all already know what it is. It is actually white supremacy, right? They do not care about anybody. Like somebody said that, I mean, this administration is hurting everybody. Of course, it is hurting everybody. Some people choose to not react or act like it is affecting them. When sincerely speaking, they know that they are already cooked, right? Now, sometimes I feel like most of those people supporting this man do not even know what is going on or do not even understand what is happening, because I don't know if it's ignorant, but then that also reminds me of what he said about loving the poorly educated. He loves them so much. Let's get into.
The fact that there's still some people clamoring for Trump supporters to feel outraged by everything that's going on is showing me that we still don't have a full grasp of what we're dealing with here. And I think this is contributing to why the counter response has been so weak and ineffective. These are not people that believe in a just and equitable world. In fact, they think everyone has their place and they're okay with that. This is what they want. This is what they value. This is what they believe. They're not people that were just manipulated against their interests. This is their value system. This is what they want. They're not dumb, or at least they're not just dumb. It's not about intelligence here. This is a value morality system. These people are feeling like finally the world is uneven and hierarchical again. Finally, we're being told what to do. Finally, I am where in my place where I need to be. That's where I think we're like missing the point. So we're arguing with them like they're people that just need to be convinced to see what is best for them. They don't give a shit. And then the tricky next part is where do you go from here, where it just boils down to different values, but you have to coexist. There's no convincing Trump supporters. There's no convincing people that want a hierarchical, uneven world where some people suffer so that they do better and they have a better life. For people that want a more equitable world, a world that's more tolerant, we need to determine how we're going to maintain that and what we're willing to do. A strongly worded letter is not going to do anything when they've already broke down the walls. And I feel like that's this unfortunate next step that we're not like really fully talking about, of like, what do we do now when people don't play by the rules of the game anymore, and the rules of the game that as we knew it before no longer apply? How do we now play this new game? And it doesn't even imply force or violence. It just implies a completely different strategy and approach, that because we keep doing the same thing and it's clearly not working. Yeah. The fact that there's still some people clamoring for Trump supporters to feel outraged.
Yes, everything you said there is true. But here's the thing, one thing we need to say too. These people are perfectly willing to burn everything down if they don't get their way. That's the thing. My buddy, I'm a name dropper, I want a mango said, and it's something you all need to keep in mind. Never forget that a racist would much rather suffer less than you than thrive together with you. A racist would rather suffer less than you than thrive together with you. That speaks to the hierarchy. That speaks to the power pyramid that I'm talking about, right? And unfortunately, these people, I mean, I hate to say it, we have to coexist with them because we live next door to them, we live in neighborhoods with them. But in a sense, we really cannot truly coexist with them. And the fact that they are so nihilistic, the fact that they're willing to burn everything down the way they are, is a problem because there's no boundaries for them. We, on the other hand, who want a just, equitable world, by the very nature of us wanting fairness, wanting decency and goodness, implies that we have boundaries. You want a just, equitable world, it implies that you have boundaries. And if you're fighting against somebody that has no boundaries, that's willing to be, that's like a schmooicide, bomber with a nuclear football, willing to do everything if you don't give him or her their way, I really do not know how you fight against that. I don't know. And like I ranted and said here, at the earlier video I said, the media is still, as you said, just like what you were talking about here, man, the media is still acting like if this administration and MAGA and these people's ideology and the supporters, right, they still act like if, they're moored in reality at the very least, at the base of them. They still acting like these people can be convinced that these people are quote unquote regular people anymore, that they're normal. This is not normal, right? I hate to say it, but when you talk about, like, if you're familiar with like classification and the nature of life, biological and clades and classifications and stuff like that, when they talk about life forms, there's been a debate about if viruses are truly alive, right? Because what viruses do, they destroy everything they come into contact with in order to propagate themselves. And I dare say that MAGA is very similar. They want to destroy everything in order to get their way. They're not regular people anymore. That ideology has tainted them. And make no mistake, MAGA and QAnon are one and the same. All right? People need to disabuse themselves in that. But these MAGA folks are no longer regular human beings, no longer truly American in a sense. When you're American, you mean you agree to abide by the Constitution. You hold the Constitution as, in the highest esteem. MAGA doesn't do that. So MAGA is like an American virus, to be honest. And it's willing to unalive the body, right? Okay, which is the American democratic experiment, to get their way. And their way is total despotic, fascistic, white supremacist domination of the United States in perpetuity. That's it. That's what they believe. That's the kind of hierarchy they want. So yeah, man, you have a point. But don't forget as well, as I said earlier, these people are willing to destroy it all if they can't get their way. So we have to contend with that too. They They won't disappear. We can't get rid of them. But, you know, they're going to be an ever-present threat in our society because we can't get rid of them. My friend Thomas the Bishop said we probably need to treat them like how the Germans treated the Nazis, you know, that ideology back in the day, in terms of never forgetting what their people, what their fellow Germans are capable of when we ignore certain things, when we don't pay attention to certain things, when we scoff at certain things, when we pretend, you know, we too effete and we too effete and debonair to deal with certain things, to acknowledge a certain real groundswell of sentiment, of emotion, of feeling. Germans are committed to never forgetting what they do. We need to treat the MAGA and the QAnon movement when and if we unwedge them from society. We need to treat them like that. We need to put them in museums, put the whole thing in museums. Project 2025 needs to be a prescribed text in school books from now on, to showing how modern day fascism came to America. That kind of stuff. So we need to treat them like how Germany treated the SS and the Schmutzy Party. I think that's the when and if we do defeat them, we do, you know, remove their hands from power. That's how we need to treat them. But I do not know how we fight them, because we have boundaries inherently, you know, in terms of we have boundaries, we have rules inherently based on how we feel about the world, based on our humanity, based on the humanism that's inherent with people who aren't MAGA, but they don't. So how do you fight and effectively fight somebody like that? I say, you know, we have to be ruthless. But my fear is I don't think we have the stomach, you know, we don't think we have the stomach or the commitment, the long-term commitment to be ruthless and seemingly unforgiving and nihilistic as they are in order to fight them. So that's one thing you have to consider. But yeah, good video, man. Let's continue the conversation, y'all.
And you know what's so sad is that the very people that voted for Trump are the most vulnerable to the policies of his administration. Like the people living out there in rural areas. I'm in Arkansas, the ones that's living out in the sticks, out in the boonies and everything, where y'all got wells and y'all got volunteer firefighters. Dems were making sure y'all had everything y'all needed with diversity, equity, and inclusion. The inclusion was y'all broke at. Them traveling nurses, that's Medicaid, that's Medicare. Who gonna come out there and give your grandpa them pills because you know he don't listen to nobody else but that nurse? Who else gonna drive 40 miles just to go out there and turn your grandma so she don't get bed sores? And then, my goodness, medication, y'all already ain't got no money out there. You already only going to the city once or twice a week because you can't afford it. It's too many miles. You mean to tell me you can wait on a delay for possibly life-saving medication? Oh, and then in the state of Arkansas, Sarah Huckabee Sanders, you know, the woman that was working for Trump at one time, she's now got to beg him to send disaster relief for all them storms and tornadoes that hit the state a couple of weeks ago. But these are y'all folks, all right? This was a red state. These are y'all folks. Talk to them. Get them to represent you. And it's messed up because this had to happen. I didn't want this to happen. As a matter of fact, as somebody who voted blue, I wanted to make sure something like this didn't happen. I want to make sure everybody has access to health care. I want to make sure that everybody has the opportunity to get disaster relief as they need it. But y'all voted the way y'all did because y'all were so caught up in how somebody else decides to live their lives that you forgot to look at the quality of your own if you ended up under this administration. So the bed y'all made, y'all gonna have to lie in it now. And guess what? Y'all are gonna feel it the worst.
When I told you that Donald Trump is intent on hurting all of us, I wasn't kidding. I think the millionaires and the billionaires finally got the message. So I'm going to show you a short clip from MSNBC in which there was a CEO from Citadel. His name is Ken Griffin, who also happens to be one of the mega donors for Donald Trump and also for the Republican Party in general. And I want you to listen to his words. And I want you to hear his words. And although he didn't say it, his words are dripping with regret. Regret that he actually pushed Donald Trump upon us. Listen up.
The United States was more than just a nation. It's a brand. It's a universal brand, whether it's our culture, our financial strength, our military strength. America rose beyond just being a country. It was like an aspiration for most of the world. And we're eroding that brand right now.
And I agree with him. Donald Trump has erased what makes America great. And this is absolutely devastating. Thoughts?
I mean, do you all really still believe Donald Trump when he says ridiculous things like this?
What do I know? But I was hearing about eggs, and then all of a sudden we have a great election victory. And my first week in office, they start screaming at me, "What about the price of eggs? Eggs, eggs." I said, "I've only been here for 6 days. I was there 6 days." I said, "What's wrong with eggs?" They said, "The price of eggs has gone through the roof and you won't be able to have them for Easter." So I put our very capable Brooke Rollins, who's our wonderful Commissioner of Agriculture that you know in Michigan. I said, "Brooke, I've only been here 6 days before I heard, maybe even less, maybe 5, maybe 4. But it was my first week. And I said, "Brooke, you got to save me here. I'm getting killed about eggs. What the hell's going on with eggs?" She said, "Well, you can't get them. The price is through the roof, and it looks like we're going to have a real problem for Easter. You're not going to have eggs." I said, "Brooke, that doesn't sound politically viable to me. That doesn't sound good. Because nobody's going to believe me when you get out there that it's Sleepy Joe Biden's fault. So, Brooke, you got to get going, Brooke, please." And she did a great job. And you had so many eggs for Easter, and your price was down 87% from that point.
Everyone knows egg prices are not down 87%. They're not down 93 or 94%. These are just flat out lies. And it gets worse. He starts to once again say grocery prices are down.
Because they will never tell you that. The fake news will never tell you that. Grocery prices have gone down. Everything's gone down. And yet I saw this person on MSDNC, which I think is probably even worse than CNN. It's probably worse. Probably worse than CNN. But I saw this horrible, horrible anchor. How these people get jobs. I wouldn't hire them to do the most menial of chores. But I saw this person. He campaigned on bringing prices down. Every price has gone down. What am I going to do? I mean, think of it. Gasoline was almost $4 not so long ago. And now, Mike, we just hit $1.98 in a lot of states. Think of it. And they're saying, and you know what? And inflation is basically down. And interest rates came down despite the fact that I have a Fed person who's not really doing a good job, but I won't say that. I want to be very nice. I want to be very nice and respectful to the Fed. You're not supposed to criticize the Fed. You're supposed to let him do his own thing, but I know much more than he does about interest rates, believe me. Core inflation has reached the lowest rate in 4 years, and last month we had the largest drop in consumer prices since the pandemic. This is all done in 100 days.
What's more concerning is that his supporters, the ones that are at that rally, they know that he is lying and they're still cheering him on as if the realities everyday Americans are facing aren't happening. We have ports that are now receiving less shipments from China and on the verge of basically laying people off. We have issues going on with various industries, especially tourism, when the tourists aren't coming into these cities. You know, check out what's going on in Vegas, right? And those egg prices, they haven't came down. The grocery prices, they haven't came down. The gas prices, there's nowhere in the United States you can get gas for $1.97. I don't know what he is talking about. But this is proof, ladies and gentlemen. His supporters, They're in for a very, very rude awakening in about 3 to 4 weeks, according to what economists are saying. So, to those of us who are fully present, I want to say this: great job getting the truth out there to everyday Americans and letting them know just how dangerous and destructive this administration's policies are, especially when it comes to delivering for the American people. Keep spreading the truth and do not let the spin win.
This is all I got from this video. I sincerely do not expect I don't know what anybody is expecting to this very moment. The people, like you heard people sharing him up there. Who are those people? Are they not human beings? Are they animals? They are human beings, right? The reality is that the other woman said it's hurting everybody. Of course, it's hurting everybody. But some people will not agree that it's hurting them because they are the superior race, right? They feel, the truth is that they still did not believe that all these things are happening for those that have sense. But the ones that do not have sense knew it is happening. But they still have to share him up. For how long do you want to continue to share up? If you are expecting a Trump supporter to kind of let you know that life is hard, you are probably wasting your time. I thought they told him that I thought they said it was about the groceries and all that. But at some point, we found out that it's not. The guy's price, how much is it? The eggs, did they come down at any point? Of course, no. It is all about maintaining the rate. It's all about maintaining the power. It is all about the superiority. Because if not, what is going on? Now, literally everybody is saying how hard the administration is. It's only a liar, because I don't know how human beings are still there. Like, some people are unbelievable, sincerely speaking. The fact that some people are still showering him up with everything going on, that tells you the heart of human beings. That tells you how some people can go, the length people can go to make sure that life is actually very bad for the every other person, like the poor people or the ones that they feel like they are better off. Because if we were in some countries, this man, that is the end of it. He won't continue to be, he won't continue to be the president anymore. So I want us to know that it was never about the price, the fuel price, the groceries, and the rest of it. It is about maintaining that superiority. And it is hurting literally everybody and hurting them too. How can something be hurting you and you are maintaining steez? Literally everybody's future is at stake. People can barely feed themselves. Life is getting harder. And you all think it's about, no, you all got it all wrong. Bye for now.